Welcome to the Positively Portugal Football Report for round 26. My name is Howie. Before we get into the Primeira Liga, we are of course going to talk about what happened in the Champions and Europa Leagues. Porto came crashing out of the Champions League. They went down to Arsenal on penalties in London. So that was a tough draw, right off the bat. They did win that first leg in Porto, but Arsenal got the goal back and then just went on to win in penalties. So Porto, they went down with quite a fight. They did Portuguese football very proud. We cannot say the same for Sporting. Sporting went into Atalanta, the first leg at the Alvalade, ended 2-2. Sporting even got a go-ahead goal in the first half in Italy, but then they bottled it. They gave up 2 second-half goals to Atalanta. Their European dreams are over. They're going to try to hold on for the domestic double. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But Benfica went into Glasgow and knocked off Rangers 1-0. Now, the goal was controversial. It was originally waved off. VAR overturned that. I don't have a problem with the goal counting. It wouldn't have changed anything. And, it was a close call. It's not like Rangers put on any kind of an offensive display to make you think that they were going to win that game. So good for Benfica. Maybe they'll bring a European trophy home to Portugal. Now, going into the Primeira Liga, Estoril, who was in the relegation playoff, they beat Portimonense at home 1-0. So now Portimonense takes their place in the playoff. And things are looking very bleak in Portimão. This team is not competing. They're not just losing games, they're not competing. Now, granted, it was only 1-0, but they are not doing anything to make you believe that anything good is going to happen. Famalicão and Estrela with a scoreless draw. Firenze and Rio Ave 1-1. Braga beat Gil Vicente 2-1. Porto 4-1 over Vizela. Vitória 2-1 over Chaves, trying to keep pace with Braga. Moreirense 1-0 over Arouca. Benfica beat Casapia 1-0. And Sporting, well, they were angry from that Europa League, and they beat the holy hell out of Boa Vista 6-1. That game was interesting because it was 1-0 Boa Vista. Sporting got a goal in the last minute of the first half, and then they just absolutely poured it on. So, yeah, Boa Vista looks pretty lifeless as well, but they're not really in any danger of the relegation playoff. So, the top 6 teams in Portugal all won their games. Nothing at all changed. We still have Sporting on top, Benfica right behind them, but Sporting still has that game that they have to make up against Famalicão. Porto still in third, Braga with the Conference League spot in 4th place, Vitória only 3 points behind them. The drop zone is still Vizela and Chaves, but they're inching out of it, especially Vizela. I think they're going to move ahead of Portimonense. I think Portimonense is outright getting relegated. I don't believe that they're going to be in the playoff. And maybe Vizela can save themselves. Chaves, they're putting up fights, but it just seems to be too little too late for them. And the team of the week, or the team of the round, I should say, we're going to give it a draw. It's going to be Sporting, getting half of that award, simply because of the way they overcame adversity by getting knocked out of the Europa League. I mean, they absolutely destroyed Boa Vista. And of course, lots of credit to Estoril for jumping out of the relegation zone. And this week's biggest loser, hands down, Portimonense. Again, this team is not even competing at this point. It looks very bad. It looked very bad at the start of the season, to be honest. There were quite a few guys who did not return from last season's team, and it looks like Firenze is going to be the last team on the Algarve for next season. But that is really all we have for this week. I want to remind you again, if you like Portuguese football content, if you want to follow my story of moving to Portugal, that whole process, that journey, please hit the subscribe button. That is the #1 way to help YouTubers. I do not want any of your money. I just ask for 1 second of your time. Please hit that subscribe button. So that's all I have for you this week. We will be back. Well, actually, there's now an international break in the Premier Liga. Well, all over football. Shouldn't just say the Premier Liga. So we're going to go back to making at least one video not about football. There are some things that I want to talk about. There was a very noteworthy event in Portugal recently. Of course, I am talking about the elections. We need to talk how that's going to affect people who are trying to migrate legally to Portugal. So until next time, my name is Howie. Thank you for watching.